Hello, good morning, Softball America. We've got a bracket. It's right here. It's a bracket reaction show. I'm Gray Robertson. That's Tara Henry. Tara, happy postseason to you and yours. Happy we have a bracket day. Happy getting ready for regionals day to us all.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's finally here. I honestly, Gray, I was thinking about it yesterday on my crazy travel day. I cannot believe we're in the postseason. And I'm just so excited to break down this bracket with you. In general, I think the committee did a really nice job. I know we're going to chat about it, but I know you've got your thoughts. I can't wait to not only talk about the bracket to bring on some really cool guests.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a B plus last night unofficially with Nicole Mendez when
It's
we were
pretty good.
chatting. Yeah, B plus is pretty solid, and there's going to be a lot that we dive into during this show. The chat is open, so hit us up. Just YouTube, Twitter. If you hit the chat, comment, let us know where you're watching, where you're listening, and listen to this guest list, Tara, that we've got about to pop on. Honest
Yep.
to goodness, like starting in like 2 minutes. Ashley Waters from Boston U will be here. Ali Skaggs from Arizona will be here. Jordan Woolery from UCLA will be here. Sydney Berzon, the warrior from LSU, will be here. Our buddy Tim Walton, and Kendra Falby from Florida will be here. Joanna Harden from Virginia. Sierra Sacco, Mississippi State, and maybe more. I don't know. If I look far off into the distance, that's because I'm answering an email. So stay tuned. More guests to come. And our first guest is about to pop on, Tara. But anything generally you want to say about what we saw last night before we truly kick off this cavalcade of interviews?
Well, I was actually stuck in the Houston airport and I had the selection show up on one screen. I had Sydney and Nicole up on the other screen. And I was just honestly, it's so happy to see. I was so happy to see how far our sport has come. The production quality of the ESPN. Shout out to Amanda Scarborough. Loving that ensemble was incredible, and just to see the reactions across the country. My favorite was Penn State, Gray. You just that stuff, you can't script it, and it's true, it's raw, and the pure joy that you saw from that squad when their name was called, to me, was the highlight of the night, and it's why we play the game. So just gosh, what an incredible night, and can't wait to dive into it.
Yeah, I just one quick note, like in the Alabama watch party last night, the second most commented thing I heard was, "Wow, Scarborough's hair looks amazing." So shout out to Amanda for just absolutely popping on screen, and maybe I'll see her this. Oh, look, there we go, like the fireworks behind me. Maybe I'll see Amanda this weekend. Who's to say? I'm not going to spoil anything. Shall we get to our first guest?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, here we go. We're not going to do any funky videos today because we don't have time. No dillying or dallying. Let's get to our first guest, the head coach of Boston U, Ashley Waters. Coach, hello. How are you?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Man, we're so excited that you're here. Congratulations on another Patriot League title, on making the NCAA tournament, on going to the Norman Regional. We were just talking about our view of the selection show last night. I was at a watch party. Tara was watching all the reactions. What was it like for you and your squad watching the bracket be unveiled?
It was interesting. I think we weren't expecting to go so soon. So I think 3 minutes into the show, when you hear your name called, that's not always a good thing. I think it was more of shock maybe to start. I don't think that we were necessarily overly excited about where we were going. However, obviously with time, things set in, and, we're excited to compete. We're excited that we're still in it. It's a gift to be playing in postseason, and we know that, and we recognize that. We were just hoping that we were going somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that sentiment, Coach Waters. And third time in Oklahoma in the postseason. You were in Norman in 2018. You were in Stillwater in 2021. What did you say to your squad kind of after and obviously appreciating that you're in the tournament, but what did you say to them after learning you were heading out back to Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's a matter of we get to compete, we get to play. That's great. I sent them a message last night. I said, sorry, not sorry for my reaction. It was raw, it was real, and I'm really transparent, and they know that. And I think that's the part about it, right? Like, I think there's frustration amongst us just because obviously what we've done the last 2 years in our body of work, you hope that that gets a little bit more respected. And, our conference schedule in the Northeast is the Northeast. We can't change that, right? We can't fly in April and in May to try to, play some of these bigger teams. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think we were hoping, potentially for, a better regional and to go somewhere else. And that's just coming from a place of, I respect what Oklahoma has built and what they have done. I respect what Texas has built and what they have done. But like in our minds, like those are the Goliaths of our sport, right? When you hear Oklahoma, you hear national champion. That's what you hear, right? So to us, it's like, you get put in a place where you feel like, man, coming out of that is extremely difficult. Not many people can do it. Not many people have do it. Hence why they've won so many national titles. So I think that's where that kind of like feeling came from. But yeah, no, I just told them like the fact that we get to do this together. This team has been so incredibly special, so remarkable over the last 2 years, really over the last 4 years, so what we've built, we're really proud of. And we still haven't gone to a regional and really made a splash. So we still have that opportunity. And I think I needed to kind of flip that switch and look at that Oregon's a really great team, but we can go head to head. Cleveland State's a great team. We can go head to head and, give Oklahoma our best if we get that opportunity.
And a big reason why I think a lot of people hold your team in such high esteem is the pitching staff, a pitching staff that is so deep and so impressive. What is it about that group that has stuck out to you this year as you've gone on to win the Patriot League again? And, we'll talk a little bit about the fun rivalry with you and Lehigh, but what is it about that staff that just makes them so special?
I think when you have kids that celebrate each other, when you have kids that want the other one to do well, it's not a pitcher sitting in the bullpen waiting for that kid to give up a couple hits so she has her chance, right? They genuinely want one another to finish. They want one another to succeed. And I feel like the three of them have built that. And I always say the hand that's hot that's going to get the ball. And they know that, right? So the hand that's hot, they rally behind, right? They build that up. So Casey's had an incredible year. They've been her two biggest supporters behind her, willing to help her out or step in whenever they need to. And you look at Ellie Bowe's record. I mean, she's 18-1. So you can't even say she didn't have a great year, but it's just Casey's had the hotter hand at different points. But you know what? They've all thrived against different people at different points. But I think it's their support of one another. And the three of them are very, very unique in a sense of, what they throw, how they deliver. Obviously, Bowe's is a lefty, Casey's a little bit more up ball spin. And then, Lizzie has a down ball hard and she can mix the east and west. So I think the fact that you have such a unique staff and they're all so different is what's made them really successful and obviously given us a chance to do some fun things.
And been so impressive to watch, not only this season, but last season. And 54 wins. That's a lot of wins on the season. But I want to know what this week looks like for you and the squad. What does that schedule look like? What are you doing? When are you heading out? How do you manage that? Because it's probably been a whirlwind for you, Coach Waters.
Yeah, it happens quick, right? I think they took Sunday off, much needed, much deserved. And then, yeah, I mean, the kids are out in the field right now. They're getting ready to go. And so we'll practice today. We'll practice tomorrow early and then hopefully fly out Wednesday. We're trying to wait for our flight times right now to see if we can actually practice in Oklahoma on Wednesday and figure that out. But right now we're just trying to get to that preseason form. I feel like when we come out of the Northeast, it's, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, we're slow to start. We haven't seen a fly ball. We haven't whatever. I feel like we come out of the gates like running, right? We're good to go. I think we need to get back to that preseason form. So, when you go head to head day one, you're matching the speed that's getting thrown at you. Obviously the past couple months, right? It's maybe slowed down a little bit back here and we got to kind of get ourselves back to a point where we're doing things a little bit quicker, but still under control. So a lot of push with speed this week, just in terms of release, getting rid of the ball, making plays, and obviously kind of getting our bat speed back up to work a little bit.
Coach Waters, I wanted to ask you, I teased it a second ago, about the rivalry with Lehigh. It is my most often requested scoreboard update on the Alabama broadcast. Seriously, I get people who text me and say, what's the score of Boston U and Lehigh? Because it is such a great battle every single time y'all face off. You got the better of them this year, but how fun is it to be a part of a matchup like that? It's always up for something. The stakes are always high every time you meet with the Mountain Hawks.
Yeah, I think the design of our schedule is pretty tough, having us finish last weekend for that hosting right. But it is I feel like we've continued to elevate each other. And I think when obviously BU came into the conference, I wasn't initially here for that first year, obviously. But, Lehigh has obviously set such a mark, right? They've set a ceiling, and they have been that team in that Patriot League. And I think, when we transitioned in and I had the opportunity to take over, I love to win. I want to win. I want to compete. I want to play hard. And I think for us, when you have someone that wants to go head to head versus you, right? When they have great players, Fritton's obviously been there for a really long time, been very successful. So I think for us, there's nothing better than a college rivalry. There's nothing better than close ball games, right? I think we wish we could win every game 8-0. Of course we do, but the memories lie in games like this, right? That was an epic battle, obviously, for the championship. And, it could have gone either way, and there's a lot of respect, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It'd be boring if we didn't have someone, kind of chomping at the bit to fight with us. So I respect everyone that's in our conference, and I think everyone kind of gives us their best, which is really cool. But yeah, it is definitely a healthy rivalry.
Well, Coach, I'll leave with this. I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on that regional this weekend. What can the softball world expect from your squad?
They are a gritty group, right? And I think, a lot of times we get overlooked or we get, kind of passed by just because we are in the Northeast. And I think I just want people to recognize there's incredible players across this country, and there's a lot in the Northeast. And, I'm thrilled to see Villanova going to Arkansas. I think they can do some stuff, right? Princeton's obviously had some really great runs. Like, I have a lot of respect for the teams that are in this area. And I think for us, like, just give credit where credit's due. These kids, they play hard and they care about the sport, and they're doing it the right way. So, I hope you see a lot of passion. I hope you see, kids that won't roll over and die. As long as there's outs left on the board, man, we have a shot. So, I hope they get to show who they are.
I love it. And we can't wait to watch. Coach, congratulations on making the field, and best of luck this weekend in Norman, and go Terriers. We're excited to watch y'all go to battle.
That's right. Go Terriers, baby.
Thanks, Coach. That's Boston
Awesome.
U head coach Ashley Waters. That's great. And I love the frankness, because I'm going to be honest, probably nobody wants to see their name in the Norman Regional. But I think that this is as brutal a 3 seed as any regional host drew. Boston U is tough and talented, and that's going to be a ton of fun to watch those teams face off at Love's Field.
Absolutely. And we're going to just keep it rolling here. I think we've got a few guests that are already going to join us. Gray, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see, I believe Ali Skaggs, who's next up on the schedule, is here. The camera is not on. So Ali, if you're there, please turn your camera on. And Jordan Woolery will be joining us in just a little bit as well. One person has said hello in the chat.
Yeah, where's everybody else? Is it like too early? What's
Drink
going
your
on,
coffee,
people?
I've got my high school water bottle filled with coffee, we'll say.
Yeah, let us know where you're tuning in from. And also, we've reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So comment on this video, this one right now, and you're going to be entered to win a t-shirt. Let's do it.
A t-shirt? But what kind of t-shirt, Tara?
T-shirt from your favorite NIL collective. So your favorite team, your favorite player, whoever that is, Softball America is going to, we're all still in shock. I love it. Sherry, we're going to send that out to you. So comment on this video, and oh, come on, Q. It's not that early. I'm on the West Coast. It's not even that early over here.
Q, what?
Come on then.
Get it together. Man, Quentin Prothrow. What's up, Q? He's still got the gi in his name. I love that. All right. I believe it is time. Oops, sorry, I pressed it again. I believe it's time for our second guest from Arizona. Ali Skaggs is here. Hi, Ali.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you. The comments are popping off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Congratulations on making the tournament. There's a lot that we're going to dive into, Ali, but first off, what was the watch party like? What was the moment like last night when you saw Arizona's name pop up on screen?
Yeah, it was great. So every year we gather at our coach Caitlin Lowe's house, which is a fun time. She always caters in food, so our whole team gets to come and hang out with the kiddos. One of our teammates brought her puppy dog, so it's always just kind of that type of event. I'm not gonna lie, it was great to have our name called again. It felt more back to normal for Arizona softball. I feel like last year was a bit of an anomaly for us. We don't tend to not make the postseason, just as a program. So it was nice to kind of feel like we're getting back on track as a group.
And Ali, you said you all joined together. Your name was called. To be in that regional, to travel to Fayetteville. What was the kind of the team talk after learning where you guys were going?
Yeah, I think the fun thing is that with this team, a lot of the older girls, this is now going to be our third trip to Fayetteville in the last 4 years. So it was more of a, all right, let's do it again. So it was less of a kind of a surprise. I feel like as soon as we saw Arkansas, I think majority of us were like, I think we might have a chance of being in this one. So it was a collective, hey, my freshman year, we got to go play their first super regionals, which was really cool. The environment is unreal. I've stuck by this. I've told a lot of our younger girls, playing at Arkansas is so fun, especially in that type of environment. Their fans are amazing. They pack the house, and it's such a cool environment. I feel like it prepares you to go play at the World Series, to be honest with you. So I'm excited to go there again.
I was going to give you restaurant recommendations, but I feel like you've got it covered.
Please do. No,
Okay.
I'll take as many as you have.
All right, I'll send the list.
Okay,
I'll send it to Katie, who's great, by the way. And also, speaking of, I want to talk about your head coach, Caitlin Lowe, who's just fantastic. And when we had our coach call back when you were in Tuscaloosa way, way early in the year, the thing that she got most excited about was talking about your home trip after the games in Tuscaloosa when you went up to Kentucky, where you're from. What was that trip like? I know that had to be just a blast to have so many friends and family in the stands getting to watch you play, maybe for the first time in person.
Yeah, it was the absolute coolest thing ever. I still remember a year ago when Kate came up to me and said that we might be able to make it happen. And I thought, I was like, are you kidding me? This is going to be amazing if we can. And I remember when she came up to me and said, hey, we solidified it. We're going next year. And I had marked it on my calendar, and I was like, this is going to be my favorite weekend of my entire career, is going back home and playing. It was the coolest thing ever. My dad had printed shirts made for a bunch of people. And so I was actually born in Tucson, but I was raised in Louisville. So I was always a Louisville Slugger bias. Sorry, Easton, love you. But I was always Louisville Slugger growing up. So my dad made a shirt that said Louisville's Slugger on it, and he gave it out to a bunch of the people that were there and like my family. And so there was a ton of people wearing Louisville's Slugger shirts and then Skaggs shirts and all this different stuff. So it was awesome. It was so cool to go back and play in front of them. A bunch of my like hometown buddies from growing up, from playing 10U softball, they came back and watched me play, and teammates from all over. It was so surreal, and I'm so thankful Kate made it happen.
And Ali, you know what it takes to make it to Oklahoma City. And, what do you feel like this group, Arizona softball, at this moment needs to do to make a solid run? Because you already know what it takes to get there. And not a lot of teams know that, but you do. So what do you think that this squad needs to do?
I'm going to let this plane fly by really quick. Great. I can't see how many times after practice Kate will be trying to have her post-practice talk, and then a plane flies over and we have to stop. So back to your question, I feel like with our team, like, we have a ton of veteran players. So like you said, we've been to the World Series, several of us, and we know what it takes to compete in the postseason. Where I kind of feel like right now is our team, whoever plays the best softball is going to win the regional and then win the super. So there's so many talented teams in this pool. There always are every single year. So it's going to be a matter of who can execute when the time matters. It's going to be who can put runs up, but who can also stop the other team from scoring. I think that's going to be the key with us versus Arkansas. It's two very powerful lineups. And so it's going to be who can keep each other to less runs. So yeah, it's going to be competitive, but I think as long as we go in, I feel like right now our team's kind of hitting a stride and we're competing really well. We've had 2 really competitive games in the Pac-12 tournament. So I feel like we're feeling pretty good going into this weekend, and just making sure if we can put the ball in play and score some runs and hold them to a few less than us, that's going to be ideal.
And we've got another Pac player who's about to come on the show, and I'm excuse me, I'm going to ask the same question. But with this being the last year of the Pac-12, do you kind of feel a little extra fire to go on a run just to close out the conference strong?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Pac-12 tournament was where I really was feeling it. I was like, man, we got to go out, be the last ones. But yeah, the Pac-12 is such a great conference. I'm sad it's ending, but I'm also kind of excited for the future of for our teammates. I kind of laugh and tell them that, I don't have to mess with the Big 12 because I'm graduating. So I'm like, you guys go have fun, but I'll be watching. But no, the Pac-12 is amazing. I've been so happy to have been able to be a part of it. But there definitely is a push. I think the Pac-12, we're proud of being in the Pac-12. So we're going to try and make another run and see what kind of damage we can do against all the other conferences.
Well, Ali, we know you probably got to get to practice. So we just want to thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck and safe travels. And we'll be watching.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Ali.
Thank you.
That's Ali Skaggs, the All-American from Arizona, hopping on, dodging planes that are flying over the field. excited to have Ali join the show.
Sunny there.
I know.
Sunny, beautiful, like idyllic softball setting.
And I can't wait to send the restaurant recommendations as well. Ali's still in here. I'm going to do it. I promise. Hammond Trees, Wrights, Doomsday Coffee. I got you. I'm in Fayetteville way too much. So
doesn't Fayetteville have the what did Coach Walton send us?
Oh, the arcade, the adult arcade.
The adult
with
arcade
games. Yeah, for old people like us.
For old people.
Yeah. If you want to hate the world, play Frogger. That's what I learned. I was so mad playing Frogger. You know who I would also be mad playing, Tara?
Who?
The UCLA Bruins, because they're hot right now.
Yes.
They're hot right now. That's a transition, folks. To our next guest, Jordan Woolery. Jordan, welcome to the show. Good morning.
How are you guys?
Fantastic. We just said UCLA's hot. It's because you won the Pac-12 tournament, the last one ever. You had a big-time swing to make sure that happened, to have that home run to start the game against Utah. I mean, walk us through the emotions of, first off, it being the last Pac-12 tournament, also the second, but the last, and then for your team to be the one that wins it.
I think it's just really cool. Like, we take so much pride being in the Pac-12, so it's really, like, cool to see, like, us go out with such a bang and, like, the Bruins ending on top, which I feel like it's only right, truly, in the softball world, that Bruins end Pac-12 on top. But it's just cool because, especially last year, us going out in such a, like, tough way against Utah. So I think coming full circle and like being able to bring it back home and being the only team to like win the conference in regular season and win the tournament. So it's really cool for the Bruins to do that. And I'm just super proud of like where we come from at the beginning of the year too.
And Jordan, first and foremost, congratulations on winning both the regular season and the tournament title. Hard to do. And you just said that for where the Bruins started to where you are now, it's been incredible to watch and see the growth of this squad throughout the season. If you can look back on the season, when do you think there was that turning point to where kind of flipped the script and really turned it around for the squad?
I think there was glimmers and like moments at the beginning of the year from preseason. I think our Florida State game was a big testament to the resilience that we've had throughout the whole year. And then I think as soon as we started Pac-12 play, the first week against Utah, I think we had a really strong showing that weekend. And I feel like that gave us the momentum that we needed to continue to go super strong into the season. And I think just over time, like we've grown closer together as a team. And like we've just, from day one, we've been down literally 4-0. So it's like we've come back from so much, literally like it's just about winning every pitch and not worrying so much about like the opponent or like who we're playing, but just playing UCLA softball. And I think it's a testament to like Coach I and like all the work and the other coaches that they put in this year to us. So.
And I wanted to ask about the galvanization, it seems, of the offense behind the pitching situation, because you've had times this year where Caitlin Terry was out and Taylor Tinsley was throwing like every inning, and then Taylor Tinsley was out and Caitlin Terry was throwing like every inning. And how did that help you as an offense to say, look, we've got to be locked in to help out our pitcher because she's giving everything she's got out in the circle?
The main focus of our offense is just literally outscoring the opponent no matter what it takes. So like I think having our pitchers back, especially with our young staff, Tins and KT have been doing such a good job for us this year. Like I give so much credit to them because no matter what the circumstances is, we're always going to have a chance to win with them on the mound. So I think just not putting too much pressure on them. So like scoring as many runs as possible, like early and often is kind of like our mantra going into every game. So scoring as much as we can, just to have their back and show like they have support, even though like the hard games. Like Tins has gone 9 innings, KT has gone through so many games where we're down, but she keeps showing up for us, and I think it's really cool to see, even as a freshman and sophomore with Tins too. So.
And Jordan, you talk about the offense. 10 wins when trailing or tied in the 5th or later, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot. So incredible offense. But I want to kind of switch gears here and talk about when the regionals were announced. What were your initial thoughts? Obviously, you get to stay home, a top 8 seed, and get to stay home. What were your thoughts when your names were announced?
I'm just super excited to go to regionals again this year. I feel like last year we didn't perform how we wanted to, and like the teams came out to play. So I think it's just this year is for our seniors on the team this year, and also for the seniors on the team last year, just to try and get some revenge. So.
And you basically get a redemption narrative against like the exact same teams. So that's fun. Hey, all right. So we got a question in the chat. Please chat about the pickle jar, LOL. This was like a big story during the Pac-12 championship game. Help us explore this a little more, the concept of the pickle jar metaphor.
It's just about like, when you're like in the kitchen and you can't get your pickle jar open, so you need like kind of hands-on everywhere. So it's kind of that same thing, like offensively, like you might not be the one, but you had a 7-pitch at bat. So the next person is probably going to hit a double or hit a home run or like get a walk. So it's kind of like the collective effort of everyone to try and open the pickle jar and like just kind of all hands on deck. So I think it's like a really good mantra like for us to have, just because like if you don't get it done, the person behind you is probably going to get it done. If they don't get it done, the next person's going to get it done. So it's just like a kind of like belief in everyone in the lineup, no matter like the situation or who's up to bat.
I love that. Pickle jar. Is there actual pickles? Like,
We did this weekend, because usually we get sandwiches, so we always have like pickles in the dugout, and we already have cheers. We have like a pickle party cheer, so we're like really on top of it.
At least you're gonna stay hydrated, or electrolytes, right? Pickle juice. It's good for you in the heat.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. It's actually really good for you.
Okay. Well, then I'll start doing better. Jordan, what does this team need to do to go on a run to Oklahoma City and beyond?
I think just the continued belief that we have in each other and like trusting each other, like no matter if we're down by 4, down by 5, it doesn't really matter as long as we have like one pitch left, and especially this weekend we'll be home team a lot of the games. So like it doesn't matter like what the situation is. I know like no matter what, if we have one single pitch, that we can come back and end up on top. So just like trusting the process and not getting too much caught up in like, oh, we didn't get hits yet. Just waiting and like knowing that it's going to come around eventually, and like we're going to get the outcome that we want to see. So.
Love it. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. See, thank you.
Pickle juice is good for cramping, according to Lonnie Goodman. Good to know. I don't do enough to have any athletic cramps, so that's
best of luck this weekend. I will be there. I'm going to be at the Los Angeles Regional. Can't wait to watch you all. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jordan.
Bye.
It's Jordan Woolery.
Awesome.
Let's keep it rolling, man. And we got 3 already. It's like we're 30 minutes into the show. I've got to answer an email. So I'm going to ask you a question that hopefully you will take some time to answer, Tara.
Yeah, and I was hoping that people would actually keep telling us where they're tuning in from. I don't know.
Why don't you flash some stuff up from the chat while I answer an email?
Absolutely. Just where you're tuning in from, what you all are doing this morning. Let's see. Braden, good morning from Perry, Oklahoma. Go Pokes. Yep. We got Ivy Rosenberry last night on the show. She was fantastic. Renthia Bell, good morning. How are you? Gosh, I know that you're always giving me the Reese Atwood updates. And good morning from Norman, Oklahoma. Little Riddle. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And let us know if you have any questions. Dallas, Texas. College sports advocate. So again, comment on this post on YouTube. One of you will be the lucky winner of a NIL shirt. So comment on YouTube. We'll put you in a raffle and send you a shirt. That's gonna happen. Gray,
All right.
you good?
I've sent my email. I'm scared to know what my face looked like while I was typing.
Oh, I wasn't looking. I was looking at the chat.
Okay. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. Fang Nai is here. Stop the silliness.
Fang!
Tuning in from the usual spot in the NWC in Norman. Oh, we got more. Stephanie. Good morning from OKC. Ooh, be there soon. Oklahoma City, couple weeks, not
Yes.
far. Jacqueline Reed, Kingston, North Carolina. Go Vols. Q is giving us guest ideas. We've got like 9
Q,
people
they
lined
were
up.
on last night. Q, they were on last night. Miami Muhammad was on last night.
Oh,
Coach
Q.
Kumar and Carly Spade.
Yeah, but we know where Q is. Memphis, Tennessee. Hi, Steph. If you're there as well. And
Brandon.
Julian, of course.
Brandon, we're going to get into the bracket here. I think we've got time to get into the bracket before our next
Yeah.
guest, right, Gray?
Our next guest is set for noon, so we do have some time.
Okay,
and
let's get into it.
Maybe someone will pop in before. So I don't know. We'll see. So we've got a bracket. Tara, do we want to just go region by region, start on the left
Sure.
side?
Sure.
All right.
Let me just pull it up here on my iPad. I've got it on my iPad and I've got it written.
All right, perfect.
Sure.
Let's start up top. The number 1 overall seed, the Texas Longhorns. They've got 2 seed Northwestern, 3 seed St. Francis, 4 seed Siena. By RPI, this is the highest average. I think the average is like 79, which makes sense. It's the number 1 overall seed. And Northwestern, though, an interesting trip for the Wildcats to have to go to Austin. I got to say, this was an interesting way to start the show last night, seeing Northwestern go into Texas.
I know I was producing the show last night for Nicole and Sydney, and you should have seen Sydney's face. She was in absolute shock about Northwestern being called, third on the show last night. But yeah, a little sneaky there. It'd be a good test for Texas. Northwestern, obviously, we talked about St. Francis and Siena, but I think that the key there is going to be Northwestern and how they're going to match up. We've got something in the chat. I can't wait to see Ashley Miller versus Tegan Gavon as well. Stephanie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. But yes, when you take a look at Texas, I think they should get through there, but Northwestern is going to give them some problems. And the Drohans, they just always know how to prepare their squad, and the Wildcats can be scary good and maybe are in for an upset or two.
Yeah, Ashley Miller, Stephanie makes an excellent point. Ashley Miller is very talented and very good. And, we say Ashley Miller versus Tegan Gavon. Will it be Tegan Gavon? I don't know. I mean, Mike White's got a lot of options in the circle, but if he picks the wrong one, Ashley Miller is the kind of pitcher that can at least give Northwestern a shot while the Wildcats try and take advantage of that. We'll see. Anything else on Austin before we move down?
Let's move along because I don't know that we're going to have enough time to go through this. So let's try and get through them before our next guest. All
right, Bryan-College Station Regional. This
when
was
did it
not
become Bryan. When did it become that, by the way?
So it always has been, but I think we all just said College Station because technically A&M's campus is in the College Station part, but Bryan is basically a part of College Station. Basically, it's all kind of one whole thing. If I'm getting that wrong, Aggies, please let me know. And then if I am getting it wrong, my grandparents will kill me because they're Aggies and I've been there a million times. This was not a surprise to see Texas and Texas A&M matched up. I had A&M at the 16. I think Brady did too. And the Aggies are the 16 overall seed with Texas State, Penn State, Nittany Lions in the field, and maybe on this show in just a little bit. Stay tuned. Mm-hmm. And also the 4 seed Albany Great Danes. This is a pitcher's dream because you got just 3 high quality aces. I mean, Nemeth at Penn State, Mullins at Texas State, Emily Kennedy at A&M. I love this regional. This regional is going to be just so fun.
Sneaky tough regional, Gray. I wrote down sneaky tough. That's what I characterized it as because I agree with you. The pitchers in that region are going to be incredible. And we had Jessica Mullins on the show last night, and I just can't say enough about her and what she represents. It was so great to just hear her perspective on being at Texas State, representing a mid-major school, and what she's all about. It was funny. She said, not funny, it was great. She was said, the grass is greener where you water it, right? So her staying at Texas State and really helping that program out, I just can't say enough about the Bobcats and the run. But got to watch the Aggies. Trisha Ford in her second year at Texas A&M, watched them at the SEC tournament, and Coco Woolery with a clutch hit in the seventh to literally, I don't know, again, when you said galvanize or bring that team together, the Aggies have a lot of fight, and obviously Emily Kennedy in the circle in an ace lefty that throws hard. The Aggies have, if that's a potential super between Texas and Texas A&M, that could be lights out.
I mean, you want to talk about a rivalry. Those people don't like each other at all. At all. Again, I grew up with it. They don't enjoy each other's company at athletic events. They just don't. We should also note Texas State won the one regular season matchup with the Aggies. That was a game where they walked it off of Emily Kennedy, who came on in relief. So don't sleep on Penn State. They've had some moments. They kind of struggled down the stretch a little bit. But Bridget Nemeth is a top 10 finalist for Freshman of the Year. Like, the Nittany Lions are for real. This is not a guarantee that we're going to see Texas and A&M match up in supers.
It is not. And again, that's why it's a sneaky tough regional there at that 16. That 1 and 16, those two, again, I'd be hard pressed if it's not Texas and Texas A&M, but I also wouldn't be surprised if that's not the super that we see as well.
Marinthia. The regional got spicy last year. The police were on standby in Austin.
Really?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, great news. Speaking of Penn State, we have Penn State locked in for 12:10.
Okay. What time zone are you on? Because everybody, we're all in
12:10 Central. 12:10 Central.
Okay.
So that's, I'm adding that to the calendar.
There we go.
We could
Callan,
talk about.
Rather have to see A&M than Texas State as a Longhorn. Interesting. Wow. Arinthia. A&M fans got booted. Wow.
No comment from me. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's keep going.
All right. Let's go to the Baton Rouge Regional. We'll be talking to Sydney Berzon very soon here on the program. But the number 9 overall seed, little bit of a surprise, LSU with 2 seed Cal, 3 seed Southern Illinois with Maddie Agroff, who's one of the great freshman pitchers this year, and Jackson State as the 4. I mean, first off, we can talk about LSU being 9. I was pretty surprised, and the main reason why, it was the first time in all the years I've been tracking that a member of the committee specifically cited a bad finish to the season ever as a reason why a team got bumped down. I've heard it said for teams moving up after a good finish. Never heard it said nor seen it executed for a team who struggled down the stretch. But the chairman specifically, I wrote it down, specifically mentioned that. It's a game changer, because if that's something that we're truly starting to actually utilize, then that's going to affect the way that we study the bracket going forward. So that was significant. And unfortunately, that's why LSU is the 9 seed.
Well, and great when you talk about that. Obviously, I wrote it down as well. Ending the season with 17 and 15 after, a nearly perfect start there. But if this is the way the committee is going to go, coaches are going to start their scheduling differently, especially in the SEC, because the SEC is such a gauntlet. Like, it is what it is. And Gray, this as well. So maybe you're not going to schedule those tough games in pre-conference play, well knowing your RPI is going to go up as you get later and later into the SEC. But yes, I mean, that was something, again, I wrote it down as well, but for the committee to actually point it out, it's something that, okay, if that's the case, now teams have got to start looking at that. Like, it's not about body of work, it's how you finish.
Yeah, it's interesting, to say the least, that it came up. And now LSU's got just a brutal draw. I mean, this is hard. This regional's tough. The Supers matchup that we'll get to is like, it's very difficult. But Southern Illinois, no team to sleep on. The Missouri Valley champs with Groff in the circle. And man, you want to talk about a team that just had the clutch gene, just kept finding ways to win in the conference tournament to get the auto bid. Cal might have been in the hosting conversation if they had the facility that was conducive to hosting. So don't sleep on the Bears. And then Jackson State, your SWAC champions. Like, this is not a cakewalk for the LSU Tigers.
No, it is not a cakewalk. And when you talk about Cal, you're right, Gray. I don't believe they have the lights yet, so can't technically host anyways, right? So would have had to host somewhere near Berkeley. But I know that they're going to work on that facility and hopefully start construction over there in Berkeley on a new stadium for the Cal Bears. But again, this isn't an easy regional. And to be 9 and paired up again with the 8 seed in the Stanford Cardinal, that is a tough road to make it back to OKC, Gray. Just through that regional and then potential Supers matchup with Stanford. But we'll get into that one as well, because I think Stanford has a tough go with some of those teams in their region up in Palo Alto. I don't know if you agree with me, Gray.
I kind of do. Do you want to just go to
yeah,
Palo
let's
Alto?
go there, Palo Alto. Yeah.
All right, the 8 seed Stanford, little surprise that they snuck into the top 8.
They were fired up too. Did you see their reaction?
Yeah.
Like, fired up to get that 8 seed. I mean, I would be too. Staying at home is great. But the reaction from the Cardinal. Oh, sorry. Keep going, Gray.
Well, I just, there were a couple things missing in the quality win portion that, like, when I put my list out, I thought Georgia's resume was better, and that's why I had them behind Georgia, even though Stanford won that head-to-head. But bottom line, I really didn't have a big issue with the way the committee seeded things, or a couple of things I would have tinkered. I thought they did a pretty good job. Stanford, though, has the tough task of taking on 2 seed Mississippi State, Fullerton as the 3 seed, and then 4 seed St. Mary's, who pushed Stanford a few weeks ago. So not an easy draw. We'll see when Jessica Allister decides to use Kennedy throughout this regional. And I'll tell you what, Mississippi State, they're a tough team. Aspen Wesley is a hard pitcher to simulate, to prepare for, because she throws a lot of stuff that you don't see a ton. And her spin is very difficult to replicate. So I'm going to be curious to see if Mississippi State can make a little noise out in Palo Alto.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gray. And what was interesting was last night we had Taylor Pleasance on the show with Nicole and Sydney, and she spoke about not playing these teams or knowing these teams. So that's what I think for me is one of the coolest things about postseason is Stanford's not really that familiar with Mississippi State because they don't really have to prepare for them as much, or a Cal State Fullerton or a St. Mary. So when you take a look at these regionals, these coaching staffs are going to have to go to work and really watch a lot of film because they're not as familiar with one another as they are with those in their conferences. So that is going to be something that I've got my eye on because, Mississippi State, like you said, Gray, I've been able to watch them throughout the season. They're gritty. And another team that is not afraid to score late in ball games. And when you got an Aspen Wesley and a Josie Moran on the staff and Madison Kennedy as well, you don't really know what's going to happen. And speaking of Mississippi State, I think we've got a player joining us later in the show as well, in Sierra Sacco.
That's correct. That will be, I believe, for now, our final guest. We'll see who's to say. Also, hey, the biggest blowout loss that the Tennessee Lady Vols have this year was against Fullerton. So
I was there.
The Titans are another team that, I'm just every regional's got a little bite of intrigue, and I think Fullerton adds a little bite of intrigue to this Palo Alto quadrant.
Always. And when you talk about gritty teams that will scrap it out and, get it done. Kelly Ford and the Titans are that squad, and I know it firsthand because I used to play against them. So the Fullerton, another tough regional for Stanford. I think those 8 and 9s are really, really tough, Gray. 8 and 9 seeds for each of those respective seeds in LSU and Stanford.
Let's move on before anyone mentions I just spilled water on my shirt.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Did you see it? Okay, great. I'm just getting sloppy at 11:46 a.m. Just my ice water. All right, the 5 seed is Oklahoma State with 2 seed Kentucky, 3 seed Michigan, who are Big Ten champs, 4 seed Northern Colorado. This is probably my biggest complaint with the seeding.
Oh,
yeah,
let's hear
Oklahoma State. Well, so here's the thing. Every time I watch the selection show, I've talked about this. I'm looking for clues and I'm looking for trends, right? Like, what's the thing that the committee really emphasized? Very, very hard to pick up a trend this year because Oklahoma State, at first I thought it was KPI, and then Duke, who we'll get to a little bit later, did not appear in the top 8. Top 25 wins, well, Oklahoma State didn't have that. Top 10 wins, well, then there are some other teams who probably should have been slid a little bit higher if that's what we were looking at. It can't be SOS because Oklahoma State had the weakest of overall SOS of anyone that we were talking about. So it seemed like Oklahoma State is a team that the committee just said, we're watching them and they look top 8 good and we're going to put them in the top 8. And I kind of agree with that. I think they're top 8 good. And obviously they've got the 2 best series wins of anyone in America, but full body of work, I didn't get it. I don't think the full body was conducive of being a 5 seed. And here they are. And congratulations, your regional's pretty hard. You got 3 seed Michigan, who's red hot, and 2 seed Kentucky, who is a true enigma that can be hot at any point, anytime.
Yeah, I said, dare we say the committee is actually watching games? Dare we say it?
Maybe.
I mean, because to have series wins over Texas and Oklahoma, that puts you as a top 8 seed. And if you're looking at full body of work, you're looking at strength of schedule, you're looking at RPI, you're looking at KPI, I get that. I understand it. But also, you took series over the 2 best teams in the country. So I'm totally
and
okay.
look good doing it.
Yeah. And probably could have taken, honestly, I still believe could have taken game 3 had they brought in Lexi Kilfoyle. And so I was surprised to see Oklahoma State. Honestly, when they announced Oklahoma State, I was really, really surprised at 5. But I'm totally fine with it.
Also, look, I know everybody's going to say what they're going to say about last year in the 5 seed. Is the 5 seed just the, here we go spot?
Who was
now?
the 5 seed last year?
It was one of these teams behind me. I don't know who's to say, but maybe the 5 seed is just like the wild card, like the vibes pick, maybe. Like, I don't know. Which I'm down. I'm down. It's going to make predicting the bracket hard, but whatever. I love a good surprise. And I'm not saying Oklahoma State didn't deserve to be a top 8. They had I think they're top 8 good, but I watch a ton of softball and I didn't think the committee would think the same. So I was like you said, Tara, kind of impressed that they put Oklahoma State where they did, even though the team sheets didn't necessarily reflect it. That being said, like we've teased, this regional is hard. And if they don't come to play, Michigan can take them out. I think Michigan might be playing as well as anybody in America, especially compared to what we saw even 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
And we can see you all chatting there in the chat. So keep it coming. We love it. So keep having your discussions. Watts, does that say Watts 211? North Colorado hit a grand slam in the 10th to win the Big Sky tournament. Thank you for that. So yes, again, Northern Colorado, Michigan, what a run for the Wolverines and Bonnie Thole and that squad. Incredible. And then Kentucky, again, could come up and surprise the Cowgirls. But I do think it's tough, Gray. I do think the Cowgirls get out of that region.
We'll see. We might chat later. Who's to say?
You don't agree? Why? Tell me. Please tell me why.
I'm going to hold. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the very end because Yeah, I know we did like our roundtable at Sun Softball America, but I did that last night, and today in the cold light of day, I'm starting to formulate some more opinions. So I might be changing a couple things. We'll see. But I still recommend reading the roundtable because there are some good takes on the site right now.
Yeah, those are immediate takes. I think that's what's pretty cool. It's like immediate takes right after the bracket is announced.
Yeah. All right, so Arkansas is the pairing for Oklahoma State. Arkansas, the 12 seed. We've already chatted with Ali Skaggs from Arizona, who's the 2 seed in Fayetteville. Villanova, the 3 seed. And SEMO. Now, hold on. Watch out for the OVC champs. They've shut out Missouri this year. And I believe the Arkansas game went to extras. I know Southeast Missouri led 5-0 after 1 in Fayetteville against Arkansas this year. Our friend Dorian Kraft was on the call, and we were talking about it when I was up there a few weeks ago. So, look, I don't think it's a guarantee at all that Arkansas gets out of this regional, and they have struggled at times in the postseason, including last year when Oregon went to Fayetteville and came out victorious.
And we've seen this storyline before. I swear they're sending Arizona back there because, like Ali had said, she's been there a time or two. But again, I agree with you, Gray. Another regional that is kind of up in the air, and you could see any of these squads getting out of there. I know SEMO, they're 28 and 24, but like you said, tough squad, Nova as well. But again, Arkansas has a work cut out for them. In this Fayetteville regional. I don't know if it's the toughest regional, but again, one that you got to keep an eye on in that 12 seed that matches up with the 5 seed in Oklahoma State.
We got 2 more, and then our next guest will be popping on momentarily. 2 more regionals on the left side to discuss. A 13 seed Louisiana. No keeping the Cajuns out this year. They're hosting, and they've got 2 seed Baylor, who's played way better the last few weeks. Ole Miss as the 3, one of the last 4 in, and Princeton, who the Tigers are going to walk in and be like, what's all this? This Louisiana, Lafayette is going to be quite a culture shock for an Ivy League school because the party will be raging down in Louisiana. I think this one's pretty hard too. And I think Louisiana's going to come out, but man, Baylor has just looked like a different team the last few weeks.
Absolutely. So, and Ole Miss, right? Like you can't let the Rebs get hot is what they say, right? I think when you take a look at this regional, obviously Louisiana well earned in the 13 seed. Very happy to see Jerry Glasgow in that squad. Gosh, they just played a really, really tough schedule and are gritty, and just what he's able to do, Jerry Glasgow there at Louisiana. I can't say enough about him and his squad. But again, Baylor, like you said, Gray, starting to hit their stride after going through some bumps and bruises throughout the season. Baylor, another viable option out of Louisiana. That's going to be a fun one. I actually got stuck in Lafayette yesterday, and I almost thought about maybe staying there because it was almost going to be a 4 or 5 hour delay, and I didn't know who was going to be in that region. I probably should have just stayed there. I could have just been in Lafayette all week.
Yeah, fun. But then you would have missed the day after Mother's Day, and we couldn't let you do that.
Yeah.
You had to be there to see Mama.
Yeah, I know. I saw her late last night, so missed all of Mother's Day, but all good. And yes, agree with you, Brandon. The reaction was so great. I wish we had it. We could put it up here. But if you haven't seen the reaction to Louisiana hearing their name called, thanks, Brandon. Make sure you guys head on over to Louisiana's page and check that out because that was pretty wonderful as well.
Yeah, and I was told that there was a little bit concern about Louisiana hosting after kind of the PTSD of last year and after losing to Texas State. And I felt confident that they would host. I felt like the 16 had been wrapped up for about a week and a half, which I'm glad that I got something right. And Louisiana, congratulations. You deserve it. Derek says Louisiana got fair seeded from the committee. Yeah, I thought Alabama and Louisiana, they were going to be 13 or 14 in some order. That was how I figured it would go. And it will be a great environment. That's going to be a blast. And I can't wait to see if Baylor or Ole Miss, we have not talked about the Rebels, but maybe Ole Miss can make some noise there. Ansley Furbush has been kind of doing it all lately. So who's to say? Louisiana's supers pairing. Oh, no, those Florida Gators are hot, Tara. Uh-oh. Our buddy Tim Walton, noted podcast host and other things, I'm sure. is absolutely just on a tear with this team. This offense is raking. The pitching, Rothrock had some great outings in the SEC tournament. And now Florida gets, statistically, like the second toughest regional based on average RPI. You've got the 2 seed, South Alabama, Olivia Lackey. All she does is beat SEC teams. I've seen it live. Florida Atlantic, who got in, huge for the Owls. Congrats to them. And 4 seed FGCU, who beat Florida State earlier this year and is inside the top 70 of the RPI. So, yes, the Gators are red hot, but this is a sneaky hard regional of all Florida teams.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gray. But also, I just watched the Florida Gators just slice and dice through the SEC tournament, and I'd be really hard-pressed for them not to get out of there. What, like you said, Coach Walton has done with that young pitching staff and Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown, I can't say enough about it. But there's almost this thought that the pitching staff doesn't have a ton of weight on their shoulders because the offense is so explosive. So when you've got an offense that you know is going to score loads of runs, I think it makes throwing a lot easier. And as a freshman, you kind of don't know. You kind of just are going out there and you don't really know what's going to happen because it's your first season. But Skylar Wallace, when you talk about getting hot, what she did in the SEC tournament, obviously SEC MVP, was incredible. And then Mia Williams with 2 3-run home runs in back-to-back games for the Gators, the freshmen who were just hitting under 200 for her to put the Gators on the board. Gosh, really, really impressive. Just so many weapons up and down the lineup. And we'll talk to Kendra Falby and Coach Walton here in a little bit, but didn't even talk about Corby Otis or Jocelyn Erickson or Reagan Walsh. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches, I would say, Gray, up and down that lineup for the Florida Gators.
I would agree. And I think Florida can win the national championship. I'm not going to pick them, but I think they can do it. I think they're probably one of the top 3 teams that I think can win a national championship this year. I've been so impressed by what Coach Walton has done with that roster this year. That being said, do not ignore Olivia Lackey. Man, I mean, I'm telling you, the minute you look past Olivia Lackey is the minute you lose. She is just a bulldog. And like I said, all she does is beat SEC teams. This year, she's taken out like 4 teams in the conference: Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and I think she got Ole Miss too, if my memory's right. So I think she has 7 now career wins against SEC teams over her 4 years. Just don't do it. Don't do it, Gators. Don't look past Olivia Lackey in South Alabama.
I don't think they are. And also, we're staying in that region before we've got our next guest on here. But again, Florida Atlantic winning the regular season title. Jordan Clark in just her second there at FAU. What an incredible job she's done there. And again, another team, that'll be a good first game against South Alabama, Gray.
That's going to be a ton of fun.
Right? I know. I'm excited about that. It'll be, I got it right here, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN+. So if you guys are ready for that, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN+.
Yeah, I gotta see if I've gotten the email. I have not yet, so I don't think I can tell you who's on that regional. But it might be a friend of the network.
Oh yeah, exciting!
Who's calling games in Gainesville? I'm not gonna break any news. Don't worry, Meg. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I look, and the Florida-Louisiana potential matchup, very, very exciting. I think the potential supers on the left side of Texas A&M, Stanford, LSU, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Florida, Louisiana, they all have a great deal of intrigue. And I could see a couple upsets that could preclude those potential super matchups from coming about.
Yeah, I hear you. In terms of, yeah, I agree with you, Derek. Derek's on board with us here. Great first game matchup.
Oh, Brandon asked me a question. Gray, when you give average RPI, are you factoring in the 4 seed 2 or just looking at median? Yes. Initially, I've done it with just 4s. I'm going to do a deeper dive this week to look at what it would be like without the 4s, because I know that Florida's probably does get quote unquote a little easier when you take out the 4 seed that's inside the 70. But yeah, that I was looking at average RPI factoring in the 4 seed as well because they're in the regional too. So can't forget about them. And Tara, we've got another Bruin tuning in, watching from India.
Hey, Ravi. Thanks for joining. Incredible. Yeah, go Bruins. Love it. You're welcome, Brandon.
Around the world. Just going around the
Love
world.
it.
All right. Sydney Berzon from LSU will be joining us in just a second. But before she hops on, let's try and get a little bit down on the right side if we can. We'll start up top and look at the Knoxville Regional that has Tennessee as a number 3 overall seed. Thought maybe Florida might pass them. The committee chairman did make a mistake last night. He said that Texas was the 1 seed because they had the most RPI top 25 wins. That is untrue. Florida had 17. Texas had 16. I thought Florida was going to be the 3 seed because of that. But Tennessee is the 3 with Virginia, Miami of Ohio, and Dayton.
Whew. I mean, when this initial, I know, right? Alert. When this initial regional was announced, I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is not going to be easy. Tennessee, Dayton, Miami, and Virginia. I almost thought about going back to Knoxville to watch this regional because I think it's going to be a tough one for the Lady Vols. But is Pickens' high velo going to be too much for the Miami, Ohio offense? Or is it going to just be, bombs all over the yard? I don't know. I mean, she is throwing, 74, 75, 76. Again, our buddy clocked her at 78 at the Women's College World Series. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. And another storyline, I think, in Knoxville with Miami, Ohio there. But obviously, Virginia, what an incredible season. And then Dayton. So not an easy regional, Gray, by any means. And one that I think is one of the toughest. I don't think it's the toughest, but I think it's one of the toughest.
I think it is one of the toughest as well. And I really want to go in and do a deep dive. If I were calling that regional, which I'm not, I'm in Tuscaloosa. But I would want to do a deep dive to see what Miami did against Peyton Gottschall back when she was at Bowling Green, because they would have faced off as MAC opponents. And yeah, I'm very, very curious to see how Karen Weekly decides to do the pitching. I think Pickens is the easy answer if you play Miami. If you play Virginia, I don't know. You could argue for a couple because we saw spinny pitchers throw really well against the Who's the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's going to be another, I love that, Brandon, exciting regional potentially that Miami could break the home run record. This is going to be a good one. Again, one of the ones that immediately when it was announced, I thought, hey, this is going to be an exciting regional. But how Coach Weekly manages that pitching staff, and can the Tennessee offense get going? You've had some trouble scoring runs, Gray. And obviously that's okay when you've got Pickens and Gottschall as a 1A, 1B. But can the Tennessee offense score some runs to give them a little bit of wiggle room with some pretty big bats in that regional?
All right. I'm working. Sorry, I had to send an email to make sure that we can get Sydney Berzon on. She's working on it. She's popping on in just a second. But yeah, Knoxville's going to be a ton of fun. I think we'll have just a second if we can to talk about where I will be this weekend on the radio, which is the Tuscaloosa Regional. I was right about where Alabama would be. I said 13 or 14, and that proved true. And I was right about the 2 seed, like pretty much everybody was. It's Clemson. I think everyone kind of knew that would be the matchup, and it feels like it's been set for a while now. Little surprised to see the 3 seed Southeastern Louisiana come up to Tuscaloosa. I thought they would be either in LSU or Louisiana, but I'll tell you what, that's a team that loves to run. And shout out to Maria Detillier, the cousin of one of my best friends. And Maria, last time I called a game that she was in, she hit a home run off of Alabama. And the 4 seed is USC Upstate. This, I think, is going to be a fascinating test to see what the Clemson pitching looks like. How much can Cagle go? How does Reagan Spencer do? I think Brisky and Beaver are going to be a tough matchup for anybody, but can the Clemson pitching find the right formula to get past a Southeastern team that can really hit and an Alabama team that's very, very tough to beat in regionals in Tuscaloosa?
Yes, for Clemson, the Tigers to go to Tuscaloosa, I think that's obviously the big storyline here to play at Rhodes House. And obviously, Gray, you know it very, very well. But Clemson could potentially get out of Tuscaloosa there. I think it's going to be a really good test for the Tide. And I'm calling it here, Gray. I know you don't want to hear this, but I think the Tigers are going to get out of that regional.
What, you don't want me to work next week? That's so mean.
No, it's not great. It's not about you. It's just like what I feel.
I know it's not about me. You know who really made me work this past week? We were on the air for 4 hours for Alabama LSU because of our next guest who's about to pop in, the Warrior Woman, over 200 pitches against the Tide, Sydney Berzon. Hello, Sydney. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
I just have to ask, are you okay? Because you threw so many pitches and so many innings this past weekend in the SEC tournament. I mean, how has the recovery been after that workload?
It's been going good. Had a day off for travel, and now we're just getting back to it. Had practice yesterday, practice today, just getting ready for this upcoming weekend.
And Sydney obviously just finished up the SEC tournament. Didn't get, obviously the result that you wanted to, but what was kind of the team atmosphere after the tournament? And because we really saw a Tigers team that looked pretty similar to what we saw in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of joy and excitement coming from us. I know we didn't make it all the way, but we were very excited. We kind of found ourselves again this week, and I think we're very confident to be carrying that with us into postseason. I think it was just a very, very excited dugout, very excited team all week, and that's kind of what we've been searching for again, and I think we found it.
I love that. And, man, I mean, your offense, Taylor Pleasant, Sierra Briggs, Raylene Gutierrez, it seems like you're always finding a way to get the big hit in those big moments. And Taylor Pleasant, who I've talked to earlier this year, oftentimes is the one who gets those hits as well. But how much does it comfort you as a pitcher knowing they got my back, they got me?
It truly allows me to play free. I mean, I'm allowed to come into these games and, throw not as many pitches over the plate. It allows me to, have a few more mistakes if I need them. But the offense really, they all year, even some people might argue not, but they've had my back all year. They've had our staff's back all year, and it allows us to be very flexible as pitchers, and it's a great feeling in the circle.
And Sydney, you get to work with one of the best pitching minds in the country, and Coach Beth Torina. Can you explain to our listeners and viewers what that's like to work with Coach Torina day in and day out in the bullpen?
She is just beyond knowledgeable, and I think she has taught us so much. You think coming into college that you know a lot already, but you realize you don't. And she offers us so much every single day, from the smallest things in the bullpen to understanding her pitch calling to getting ready for each team every weekend. It's honestly, I've loved it the last 2 years. She's great to work with. She's super fun. I feel like I speak for our whole staff when we say we love having her as our pitching coach.
So let's look ahead to this weekend. You are the 9 overall seed. You got a pretty tough regional with Cal coming in, and Southern Illinois and Jackson State from the SWAC. What's going to be the focus this week ahead of the start of the NCAA tournament in practice?
I think just playing LSU softball. We've talked about our theme this year, Deal Us In, and playing the cards that we have, all the different ways we can be ourselves. I think it's going to be more focusing on us and the team, and not really who's in the other dugout, what name's on the other jersey, but being able to stay within ourselves and playing our softball the best we can.
And Sydney, what does this week look like for you? Do you have your schedule yet? You get to stay at home, so that's nice. What does your schedule look like this week?
Practice and preparing every day. It looks a little different because we're done with school, so times are a little different than while we're in school, but same old, just practice and prep, and hope by the weekend that we're confident enough in our preparation to get through it.
All right, I got to ask one more question about the game on Wednesday against Alabama. And Roseanne Briggs is here. Hi, Mrs. Briggs, big fan.
Hey, Mrs. Briggs.
Sydney, after you have a game like that where you throw 200 pitches, where you're on the field for 4 hours, where you're throwing basically 2 complete games, what is the recovery like after that? Like how long were you in an ice bath? Like how does that happen?
It's well, especially on the road, not a lot of time for recovery. So we do what we can. We take treatment with our AT as much as we can. And then kind of just, once the tournament was over, I have the day for the mental recovery, like it was a strenuous week. SEC play is no joke. So just being able to have that day once we finish to kind of breathe, reset, see what this week looks like, and kind of move forward from there.
Amazing. Well, Sydney, we'll let you go. I know you probably got practice today. Say hi to Coach Tarina for us and the rest of the squad. Best of luck this weekend. And
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sydney. You're a beast. Thanks for joining us. Yes. That is Sydney Berzon from the LSU Fighting Tigers. Man, that game was so long. We were talking so much. That was so much talking. But that was a lot of pitching for her.
You're talking about talking. Imagine pitching.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she did it. I was like, we had the discussion of, okay, is this when Berzon comes out, like in the 9th inning? No, that didn't happen. All right, Tara, let's just move right along. From Tigers to Lions. You said that your favorite reaction during the selection show, Tara, was what?
Penn State's reaction. I wish we had it on here. We didn't have. I should have uploaded it. We can maybe do it while we're in the middle of it. But yes, my favorite reaction by far the entire night. Not only was my favorite reaction, I think it was my favorite moment of the selection show. Absolutely. Well, my favorite moment.
I think we should dive a little deeper. Because joining us now, the head coach of Penn State, Clarissa Crowell. Coach, congratulations, you're in the tournament. How was last night?
Oh, it was surreal, actually. And Tara, it was also my favorite moment. And honestly, it was when I had a chance to go back and obviously when you're in it, right, you're celebrating with your staff and your kids. And when I went back and watched the celebration, I mean, it just made my heart full, right? To see the joy that moment brought to our student athletes, and it just reminds you why you coach, right? Just to see that. So a surreal moment, probably my favorite moment that I've had here since I've been here at Penn State, and to have been able to share that moment with our student athletes and our staff, it was incredible. So, but yeah, I saw my freshmen jumping over the couches, they were going crazy. And I didn't, I'm just, when you're in it, I'm hugging everybody I can find, but it truly was something special to have shared that with them. So yeah, we're excited and just ready to, get down to College Station and compete. But no, I speak on behalf of my team and everybody who is a part of our program and all of our supporters. We are excited. So very, very special night for us for sure. And we did go to the Creamery. So yeah, so
I've got all.
But yes, we did go to the Creamery. So
I've got all the emotions. I'm crying. I've got goosebumps, like all the things. And Coach, ending a 13-year NCAA drought and heading to College Station, what does that mean for you in this program? Because that is huge, heading into the postseason. And again, I do have all the emotions. I'm like crying over here. I've got goosebumps. But for you, what does that mean for the program?
It's a huge accomplishment, and for us, it was obviously that moment last night was about our team, but I as a coach, I'm thinking about this program, what it means to just so many people, for all those who have come before. So for us, it just meant a little bit more, but it's been a long time since our program's been to the postseason. So to have been able to get there with this team, it truly is special. But just a big thank you to so many people who have come before us, whether it was coaches, staff, former student athletes, because all of those people have helped put us into the position that we were in this year, and at the beginning of the year, a lot of people were wondering how this team was going to be. And I tell you, we talk about chemistry, culture, talent, and belief all the time. And that's our kids believe the entire year. This was our mission. Our mission was to get to regionals. So I'm just so happy for our student athletes. I'm so proud to be their coach. And I'm just so thankful for them, my coaches, my staff, and everybody who has been a part of this journey since I've been here at Penn State.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you talked about the reaction of the freshmen. You talked about the people who've come in. And I wanted to ask about the seniors, because this is your 4th year at Penn State. That is the perfect trajectory of a college career. How meaningful was it to see those seniors who decided to follow you and to come to Penn State and to start their careers there, to see that hard work come to fruition in their final season with an NCAA tournament bid?
Right. And I get goosebumps just thinking about that, because I say it all the time. The seniors are very special to me. I've been here at Penn State for 4 years, and they actually weren't my recruits, so I think it makes it even more special for me because they decided to stick this thing out with me, and they've just been tremendous leaders for our program. But if you don't know this, but the seniors were in the front, right? So we had our six seniors in the front. So just to see the pure joy that they had. I'm like Tara, man. I still get, I still have the goosebumps, I think, from last night. I don't think that it's gone away, but yeah, it's for me to have that moment with them. And I think you could see me. I was trying to find the seniors, right? I was trying to run in the front and find them. But then everybody else, I was just trying to find the first kid I could to hug. But oh man, it was pretty incredible. But yes, to do this for our senior class, and it's huge. It means everything to me, because it's a very special group for me and this program, because they've been tremendous.
And Coach, you talk about the seniors, but I want to talk about Bridget Namath, your freshman, obviously was absent when you played Texas State. But talk about Bridget's impact on the program and what you've seen from her at such a, in her rookie season, because gosh, it's been just so incredible to watch her.
Man, I've gotten asked so many times, did you expect this out of your freshman pitcher? I don't think anybody expects this, right? You go out, you recruit, you know that she does some things really, really well, and you get on campus and you see what she did in the fall, but you still just don't know. But I tell you, phenomenal. And I say this all the time. I think what separates Bridget and what's been a big part of her success is honestly just the composure level that she has, especially for a freshman. I mean, the kid just does not get phased. She has been put in so many difficult, hard situations she's never been in before. And more times than not, she shows up, right? She shows up, and she's the best teammate. Our team just loves playing behind her. So she's just been remarkable. I mean, what she has been able to do this year has been, it's been pretty incredible. And Bridget will say this, she doesn't do this and have the year that she's having without her teammates. And honestly, just being the type of kid she is, she's just happy to be out here playing softball with her teammates. So, yeah, she's been great, probably has had one of the best freshman campaigns that anybody who's put on the blue and white has ever had. So it's been pretty fun to watch her, and I'm just thankful to be a part of her journey here at Penn State.
Well, and as we alluded to earlier, you're going to College Station, and as Tara just alluded to, you've got a really interesting little scenario for this first matchup, because you've played Texas State, you played them 3 times this year in Texas, but you did not have Bridget Namath available in those games. So you know what you're getting, and Texas State, they haven't seen Bridget this year. So it's kind of a unique scenario for a coach, I'd say.
We've talked a lot lately about how things just in life, it just always comes full circle, right? So this is just another example of that, where obviously we were down in Texas for spring break, played Texas State. Bridget was unavailable for that week. So for us to be able to go down there and have Bridget available, I mean, it's exciting. But hey, Texas State, first off, just congratulations to them. They've had a tremendous season. They've got obviously a great pitcher, and we know they're going to be a tough, gritty bunch. But we're excited for the opportunity to go down there and compete against them, because it's gonna, they're going to put up a great fight, and they're very, very good team who is well coached. A lot of respect for Coach Woodard and her staff down there.
And Coach, we've got a question from the chat because I know we talked about the creamery at the beginning of this. Is a creamery on campus? Penn State ice cream? I feel like more people need to know about this.
Yes, I mean, Beth Mowens knows about it, right? But President Barack Obama got his inauguration ice cream from this creamery. President Bill Clinton has set foot in this creamery. So yes, it's a big deal here at Penn State. So anybody who comes to Happy Valley, you have to go to the creamery. So yes, it is on campus, right? It's about 5 minutes from our field. So as soon as our name got called, the first thing the kids said was, "Coach, can we go get ice cream?" And we all headed to the creamery. So that's what we did.
All right. I have so many follow-up questions. Was it open? Like that was kind of late at night. Did they have to open it up for you?
It was open, but I think that knowing how big of a moment it was for our team, if it wasn't, they would have opened it up for us. But no, fortunately it was open. We got there, closes at 9:00. So it was a perfect timing. So,
okay.
But yeah, just a typical, and we told our kids this last night. We've had a lot of dramatic moments this season, and this is just another example of that. So, yeah, came down to that last name called, but we'll take it. It was awesome. So,
all right. Last thing for me, what's your order? What are you getting at the creamery?
I'm pretty standard. I love my cookies and cream and my chocolate chip cookie. So I'm always rolling with one of those two flavors. But it's the best ice cream in the state of Pennsylvania. I'll put it up against any other creamery out there. So, but yeah, we'll go try it. Our kids love ice cream, as I'm sure most players do. So we'll go down to College Station to see what they've got. I know they've got Dixie Chicken, but I don't know about the creameries down there in Texas. So we'll see.
They do not sell ice cream at the Dixie Chicken, but they do have plenty of other things if you need it.
They do. I was at Oklahoma State for 6 years, so I'm well aware of Dixie Chicken and what that's all about. But we will probably not be going to Dixie Chicken. But yeah. But no, we are excited, and I appreciate you all reaching out. And anytime I can talk about I call them our squad. I'm always happy to do so, and we're just excited to go out, represent the blue and white, and make everybody proud. So. We are.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are. Best of luck. And I know it's kind of early here on the West Coast, but I'm ready to go have some ice cream. So
well, if you ever come to Happy Valley, it's on me. So for both of you.
Well, thank you, Coach. Best of luck this weekend. Good to chat with you.
All right. Thank you all. Take care. Thank you.
Bye, Coach. Awesome.
Man, what a story. Penn State is such a great story this year, and they deserve it. And thank you to Nick for helping to set it up. Thanks to all the SIDs for helping to make today happen. We've got another team who will be joining us in just a moment. But, I mean, man, everyone, I know all these SIDs, you're having to do a lot. You're having to help with travel and getting game notes ready for regionals. And thank you for helping to set up these interviews. Coach Crowell, incredible. And Penn State, an amazing story. And I've been so impressed by what I've seen this year from the Nittany Lions.
Absolutely. And again, I really do, Gray. I got emotional thinking about it and still have goosebumps just in talking to Coach. And I think when you take a look at our sport, obviously we get really caught up in the wins and losses, the hits, the errors, the home runs, and all that. But for me, the coolest part about what we do is for us to be able to see that moment and joy in those players, faces, and then heading over to get ice cream. That's the stuff that those players are going to remember. And the time with your teammates and your squad and the joy that they're sharing with one another. To me, that is just the greatest thing about our sport, is being with a collective group like that. So best of luck, and can't wait to watch and see it's going to be another good one. With Texas State, Gray. Woo.
They can win that regional. Penn State can. I mean, I'm not just saying that. They can win that regional, and maybe I'll pick it. I don't know.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Oh, speaking of picks, if you haven't done so already, go and fill your bracket out. Do you guys know what you're going to win if you're first place? A trip to Rosemont, Illinois for a weekend with Athletes Unlimited. Flight, hotel, and tickets and like maybe some like meet and greets in Rosemont. First
What?
place finisher. Yes. Yes.
You're telling me that you get to go to a place where Montana Fouts will be. It's just, I mean, just do it.
I mean, is Montana playing with the regular season? I thought she's just going to AUX right
Is
now.
it
I
just
don't know.
AUX? Okay,
Right
maybe
now, I think it's just AUX. I wasn't. I don't want to.
I don't
want
know.
any
I haven't
false
talked to
advertising here.
Montana, but I'm just, I was just trying to give some love to one of my faves. I know Sam Fisher will be there. That's one person I know will be there in Rosemont. You don't want to miss out a chance on hanging with Samu.
No, gosh, no. But yes,
Hey.
so head on over and fill out your bracket. Oh,
Who's
hey.
this? Jen McIntyre. Hello. Hands down, best ice cream on the planet. Shout out to the Nittany Lions. We are. Okay. Hey, look, I'm in. Road trip?
Jen, I think maybe we could do a little Softball America, I don't know, activation at Penn State, and we can all have some ice cream. I think
I
we
will
can
literally drive 15 hours just for ice cream. I've done crazier things for food.
Yep. Yeah. I think I'm in for that.
All right, before Tim Walton and Kendra Falby get here, let's keep going down the right side of the bracket, try and get through the UCLA portion. We'll start with the Athens regional, where Georgia is the number 11 overall seed with 2 seed Charlotte. Look out. 3 seed Liberty and 4 seed UNCW. For the Georgia Bulldogs, a team that, is as talented and as experienced as any in the country, but kind of scuffled a little bit down the stretch. Charlotte is not a 2 seed to sleep on. I mean, the Niners are raking right now, and Sam Gress and Georgiana Barefoot are quite a 1-2 punch.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Again, not an easy cakewalk for the Georgia Bulldogs when you got UNCW and Liberty and Charlotte. I don't think there's an easy game in that region in Athens. And like we said, we saw a little bit of a different Georgia Bulldogs team in the SEC tournament, Gray. I've been able to watch them a lot this season, had their ups and downs, but, obviously a tough loss there in the SEC tournament. But, again, another regional that is not going to be easy to get out of. A lot of tests there.
Yeah, one of the things that I love to hear in the AAC championship broadcast, that we're talking so much about strike zone discipline for Charlotte's offense, how they just don't chase. And I'll be interested to see how they do against the many, many change-ups that we will see from Georgia. Also, how does Shelby Walters look after not throwing in the SEC tournament? It's been a minute since Shelby Walters has been in the circle.
Yep, so many question marks there. Obviously, using Leibakis at length, and Madison Kerpix is now back available for Georgia. Again, it's going to be one that I've got circled, and I'm going to keep my eyes on for that number 11 seed. But I want to get to our next guest, who I believe is on here.
Well, his camera's not on, so we'll let him turn the
okay.
camera on and then bring him on. And while he does that, we will talk about the Los Angeles regional, which I think is the hardest regional. Tara, are we on the same page here?
1000%.
Yeah. UCLA, the 6th seed, 2 seed Virginia Tech. Oh no. The Hokies with Lemley and Grine, and maybe the most explosive offense outside of Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas in America. Oh boy. 3 seed San Diego State, who, I don't know, just won the LA regional last year. And then Grand Canyon, who beat UCLA in the 1-4 matchup a season ago. Committee, no. What have we done?
I literally looked at this regional and I thought, oh my goodness, like this is that's why I'm staying in Los Angeles. So I'll be at the Los Angeles regional because I truly believe it is going to be the toughest regional. Obviously the Bruins, loads of weapons up and down the lineup. But when you look at this Virginia Tech squad, the ball yard, and let me tell you, Gray, the ball flies out at Easton. It flies out at Easton. I mean, to a point where you've got cars going down Sunset Boulevard that are getting hit by home run balls. So not an easy draw for the Bruins, obviously with GCU and San Diego State back-to-back champs at the Mountain West there. But I do believe, Gray, that this is the toughest regional.
Man, I turned to Lance McMahon last night during the watch show, and I said, if they put Liberty at the 2, I'm falling off the stool. I mean, that would have just been truly ridiculous. Also, College Sports Advocate asks,
I'm
can
getting
you
the link right now.
Yeah, where to submit our brackets for the drawing.
Yep. I got you.
All right.
I'm going to put that in the chat.
All right, we will send that. Look, we're just going to keep rolling right along. We'll get to the last 4 little quadrants in just a bit, but it's time to journey over to Gainesville and chat with Kendra Falby. And our pal Tim Walton will be on in just a minute. But Kendra Falby is here. Hi, Kendra. How are you?
Hi.
First off, congratulations on quite a run in the SEC tournament. How does it feel to have a team that's just clicking right now? It seems like everybody is just simpatico for the Florida Gators.
I mean, it's awesome. Like we've talked about it all season. Like when we're moving on all cylinders, it's going to be scary, and we're pretty close to moving on all cylinders. And it's nice that it's coming together like when we needed it to.
And Kendra, you are so incredible on both sides of the ball. You can do it at the plate, but also making the over-the-shoulder catch, really difficult catch in center to save a few runs in the SEC tournament. So quick, so fast. What would you rather do? Have a run-saving catch or hit a home run?
Oh, the home run was cool. Like when I got to hit the home run at Florida State, that was really cool. But I'm going to have to go with defense. Like there's just something about like being able to save that ball against Missouri. Like it was just like, I did that for Keegan. She's been pitching her butt off. Like that was good because we've got enough home run hitters on our team. I'll let them stick to that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about leading off that lineup as well. I mean, good Lord. So it's you and then Corby Otis and Skylar and Jocelyn Erickson and Reagan Walsh. And that's just the first 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be fun to be the one that is tasked with setting the table to kind of be the fire starter for that list of heavy hitters.
Yeah. I love it. Like, it's like they make it sounds like simpler than what it is, but it's like, just get on base. That's all you have to do because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is just going to do it. Is going to take care of everything else. As long as I get on, someone behind me is going to score me in.
And Kendra, what was that moment like when the final out was called at the SEC tournament to win that title, hoist the trophy up in the air? What was that moment like for you?
Well, first, I was so happy because Avery making that play was so cool because she's played a different role this year. So I was really happy that like ball got hit to her and she made that double play because she makes that in her sleep. But we were just so excited because we really did that in like 48 hours, if you think about it, because we played 2 games and then we turn around, like we're sitting around in like a hotel for like days. And we were like, oh my God, like we really just took care of business like that. So it was really, really cool. And then Coach Walton's like throwing SEC signs at us and like we're putting on the hats and the shirts and we were like, okay, like this is fun.
Yeah. What was the week like? Like when did you get to Auburn and how did you spend the not playing time?
Well, so Coach Walton surprised us and we went to the Atlanta Braves game on Tuesday night. So we drove up to Atlanta, we went to the Braves game and then we drove to Auburn. And then we were at the hotel on Wednesday, did like the normal stuff that we would do like before we would play on Thursday. And then when Thursday came around, it was kind of like, okay, we're going to hit now, but like this might be the last time we hit. And then it was the last time we hit. So then we were kind of just like trying to figure out what to do. So like groups were just like walking to Publix. Like it was just like, we have free time. Like this is weird. Like, so we kind of just like hung around, but like everyone was super focused. So we were really just kind of like, it was more of like a, can we get on the field? Like we were just like ready to go and everyone stayed focused, which was really good.
Well, we've got Coach Walton now. So, Kendra, I'm going to ask you a question. Hi, Coach.
There it is.
Kendra, are you a listener and subscriber to the Walton's World podcast?
I've heard about it, but I don't know if I'm subscribed.
The lineup's not written for Friday yet. I don't understand it.
I could have fit, but I didn't fit.
Hey, Kendra's in classes while the podcast is going on, so she has to actually be the student part of the athlete.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man, that was
Coach
awesome.
Walton, I'll ask you the same question I just asked Kendra, but in a little bit of a different way. How cool is it to have a fire starter like her at the top of the lineup when you've got 4 people right behind, and even more after the top 5, that are just so powerful and so potent and can drive her in?
Well, I was asked that same question the other day leading into the SEC tournament. Who's the most important part of our lineup? And I said it was Kendra, because just when she's on base, we score all the time. And obviously with the RBI getters and Corby and Corby, Skylar, Jocelyn, and Reagan, but she's just it's just hard to defend somebody with her speed and power and the ability to do so many things. So she's when she's going, we go. I mean, I say it all the time. When she goes, we go, and she's fun to watch.
And Coach, Kendra was saying that you went to the Atlanta Braves game earlier in the week. What was that like? And when did you make that decision to take the squad to a Major League Baseball game?
Yeah, so ideally we didn't finalize our schedule or our calendar until really Monday after the SEC, determined the practice times and determined the game times on Sunday. So long and short of it, we work so hard and train so much and travel so many things and do so much softball that, school's out. Let's do something fun for a change. And, it was a little bit out of our way. Obviously we probably went to going to Atlanta as opposed to Auburn. But we went to the game, had a blast, went to Auburn, checked into our hotel, slept in, and then got to go practice. So it was, whether we won or lost that day on Thursday, it really had nothing to do with what we were going to do. I just wanted those guys to have a good chance just to do something different than compete, but yet go to a game maybe some of them have never been to before. I thought it was fun.
And Coach Kendra, how excited are you to have the possibility of staying at home these next 2 weekends? I know that these last few weeks were big to try and secure that super regional hosting spot, but Kendra, I'll start with you. How excited are you to have earned that and to have the possibility of staying for a couple weekends in a row in Gainesville?
Super excited. I know we've worked really hard for this moment. So the fact that we've done the impossible, I feels like the past couple of weeks. So being rewarded for that is awesome. And I mean, now if there is a weather delay, we can go back home and not have to sit in a hotel room all day. So that's nice.
Coach?
Yeah, Kendra knows this because there's some things that happen behind the scenes. I told them on the Wednesday night after the South Florida game, which in my mind was probably the turning point to where we're at now today. We talked about that loss being what I told them at that moment was that loss is the reason why you're going to be on the road for regionals and super regionals if you're lucky enough, because, at the time, you look at, where South Florida was from an RPI standpoint, and they just came in and kicked our butts. They played way better than we did. We were the taste of reality. And, we went to Missouri and didn't play awful, but we still got, lost 2 out of 3. And then, we played the Florida State game. And long and short of it, it's way better to be at home than on the road this time of year. Not because it's easier, it's just more comfortable. You're just used to your stuff and, all the things that you do home and your bed and your batting cages and all the stuff. So we've got a lot of players on this team that are for the first time ever, playing in a regional game, and no better place than do it at Katie Cecil Presley Stadium.
Incredible. Well, Coach Kendra, thank you both so much for joining us. I know you probably got to get going into some practice maybe here soon. I don't know if it's an off day for y'all, but we appreciate you so much. Best of luck this weekend, and we will be watching. We can't wait.
Hey,
Gray's got something.
I'll add one more thing. Kendra, you should listen to Walton's World because it's really fun and the producer is really good.
I see the snippets. I do. I pay attention.
And Coach, I got to tell you, I want to say this publicly because I'm always off camera on the pod. I have greatly enjoyed helping to make the podcast happen and listening to you talk to all these legends. And I feel like I learn something every time we're all together on screen. And it's just been a blast, and I can't wait to see what you cook up in the off season when you're off traveling the world. So thanks for joining us and thanks for doing the pod.
No, thank you guys for having us. And we've already practiced today, Tara. This is a oiled machine here. It's not well yet. We're an oiled machine here. We've already practiced. We've already got all of our stuff in for the day.
Oh, exciting. Kendra, you got the rest of the day off.
Go get some lunch.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate it. Go Gators.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It's Kendra Falby. That is Tim Walton joining us here on Good Morning Softball America. Let's just keep on rolling. We got more. We're just going. And I want to shout out this next guest who's about to pop on because she's been waiting patiently in the waiting room. And I know that she is so eager to talk about last night because one of my favorite people that we talked to on any coach call for any Alabama broadcast this year was Coach Harden from the University of Virginia, who's here now. Coach, welcome to Good Morning Softball America. I'm getting 1,000 texts, so I'm sorry if you're hearing the buzzing.
You're totally fine.
Coach, how are you? And my gosh, I know last night just had to be such an exuberant moment for you to finally see all that work, all those years in Charlottesville pay off to that NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, I've thought about this too. The class that is our fourth year class, they didn't have a senior year of high school. They, senior season, they didn't, their first year of college was super weird. I think we were like 19 and 35 or 19, something ridiculous their first year. And so they just, for them to get to experience that in their last year of their careers, there's no more COVID years, all that's done. And so I'm just really happy for them that they got to experience that. And they came in, when they came here, their picture of their official visit was on a construction zone in hard hats because the stadium hadn't been built yet. So just to be able to watch the selection show from left field where it was a construction zone when they came on their official visit, it was pretty special.
And Coach, when you look at your squad and what you've been able to do this season, it's been incredible to watch from an outsider's perspective, but what separates this group from your previous teams that you've had?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've spent a pretty substantial amount of time on the mindset and mental toughness, on just acknowledging our own strengths and what we do really well. I think women in general, I think young athletes are they could tell you, we sat down one time and I'm like, okay, what did you do well today? And it was like crickets. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to work on? And then list and list and list. And I was like, wow, we've got this a little bit backwards. And so that plays into your confidence and that plays into your belief in yourself. And so I just have seen some come from behind wins. We had some great wins, some great series wins. And so belief begins to really take root. And so there's just a difference between saying, crossing your fingers and hoping oh yeah, we want to do this, and saying, no, we want to, we can, we're capable, and we're going to. And so I think we've just kind of got over that hump of, get into a tight game, everybody gets tight and you feel like you're holding on to not lose, and we're just going out to win. They're playing to win. And there's a bit of a freedom that comes in that, but I think it comes from confidence. That's the core of that. Right. So.
All right, Coach, I've got to take you behind the scenes a little bit. So whenever we do a coach call for TV, we usually pop off after the coach leaves. We'll get ready for the show and we'll talk through. And I remember after we talked to you, Tao and I said, she knows something. She knows that they've got something this year. At what point did you realize that this was going to be the team that could get Virginia back to the NCAA tournament for the second time in program history?
Honestly, the fall, I was like, holy cow, wow. It was crazy, right? The fall, I thought we came out with a different edge to us a little bit. We had 2 new coaches, so there's transition in that, right? So our pitching coach is new, our hitting coach is new. And so, and the way they responded to the new staff, I thought was excellent. The weight room, everything. It was pretty seamless. There came a point in the fall, I'm like, we don't have any problems. What's going on? You're waiting for the ball to drop somewhere. So I just think there was a different focus and intent from the fall. And then, the UNC series, Savannah Henley broke her finger. And so she went down and we were like, okay, I think she had a 1.60 ERA at the time. She was second in innings pitched. And so we had a staff meeting that next Monday. And I said, this is going to be the best coaching job we've ever done. And we're going to do it together and we're going to figure it out. And so the rest of the team is ready and hungry. Let's go. And I just think that took from the coaching side, what could have been oh man, like Tab went down. She's been throwing it well. It's their senior year to like, no, we're just going to go figure it out. And so the team responded. Maddie Harris, Michaela Hogue, what they've done this year has just been awesome. And they've been waiting for that. So there's been just a lot of people waiting in the rafters for their moment. And when they got their moment, they just got to go. So it's fun to see that and to see them be rewarded for their work behind the scenes in the dark.
Coach, sorry, I think we got another guest going to join us too. And Michelle. Yeah, sorry.
I was like, oh, Michelle's on here too. We'll talk to Michelle Smith in just a few minutes. Anyway, go ahead, Tara.
When the regional is announced, what was first reaction? You and the team.
Yeah. So I just watched them. Honestly, I was trying to watch them and like just get to see them. They were so excited. They saw their name. We kind of anticipated Tennessee. We figured it would be one of the Virginia ACC schools going there. And I know I wasn't sure with where Virginia Tech was seated, if that would be where they would end up. So we had a feeling that would be it. And so I think when Tennessee got announced, you could like the heart rates were up and there was a little bit of, excited nerves. And so I think for me, celebration is not my gift. And so I was like, that's awesome. Okay, who we got? We got Miami of Ohio. What do we know about him? I'm like, the interviews and stuff. And so, but it was, I was excited and just really, really happy and really grateful. And I got to reach out to a few mentors of mine, Bronco Mendenhall. I sent him a text like, hey, coach, just FYI. And he was just through the moon. Lisa Palmer, just our leader, fearless leader here. Our facility's named after her. Just a couple of people that have been really close to this process for a long time, that have lived the dog days with me. And so it was really fun to get them, included in that. So I was excited. I think the team was just super excited. And then it was literally like, all right, happy, done. What's next? We got to go to work. So they have lift this afternoon and I'm headed to hitting groups, and we're going to kind of pick up our normal weekly cadence and hit the road on Wednesday.
Oh, I love that. Well, hey, Coach, I got to let you know, I don't know if I ever told you that I went to high school in the state of Virginia. So I am drinking from a water bottle from my high school in Virginia in your honor. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Great. That's awesome.
I can't say just how over the moon I was to see y'all's name get called, and I felt good about it, but you're always waiting until it happens. And I know that you're thrilled for the team. Congratulations and best of luck this weekend in Knoxville.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys and everything you do for the game. It's amazing. And you guys are a big piece of why we are where we are and exposure. So thank you guys for promoting us, and a lot of good softball coming up.
Thank you, Coach. Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you as well.
That is Coach Harden from UVA. Let's keep rolling. Just go, go, go with Sierra Sacco from Mississippi State.
I see what you did there, Gray.
Look,
amazing.
We've been on for nearly 2 hours. Sierra, welcome to the show. Congratulations on making it to the NCAA tournament. What was the vibe like last night watching the selection show and seeing your name called?
Well, it's definitely just filled with anticipation and just like waiting to see where we were for sure.
And Sierra, I think you must be in the studio. It looks like you're in your
yes.
Your
this is where they film the podcast.
A little bit of an echo there. I know Brian's probably around there. Maybe he can help us out. But again, obviously, just a fire starter at the top of the lineup. For you, what is your mentality, getting this offense going and obviously transferring into Mississippi State? What's your mentality been this season?
Well, at the plate, it's just definitely get on base any way I can and just trust the people behind me to get me in. So it's just finding a way on base for sure.
And I wanted to ask about Aspen Wesley too, because man, oh man, I mean, she has had an incredible year and really has been incredible in the circle these last few weeks. How great has it been as an offense, knowing that you've got her and you've got Josie Marin and you've got a staff that can really hold down teams and give you a chance to figure out a pitcher if maybe you don't get to them the first time around?
It's definitely relaxing to know that like our defense and our pitchers are going to hold a team down to a few runs. So it gives us a little bit of more like breathing room at the plate, knowing we don't have to put our pressure on ourselves at the beginning of the game or towards the end. So just knowing that our offense is going to be able to have a chance in every game is good to have at the plate for sure.
And heading out west, what was the team's collective reaction when you found out you were heading out to Stanford? What were you all talking about after it was announced?
Well, we definitely have a lot of Cali girls on the team. So they're all like, yes, we're headed home. Like, we're going home, Mom, like stuff like that. So it's very like exciting and just like we're excited to travel for sure. And we think it's going to be a great matchup. So we're very excited.
Yeah. So I'm curious, and don't give away all the secrets, but the prep work for regionals. I mean, I know that you're focused on the game against Fullerton, but do you also have like a Stanford pack, like a St. Mary's pack that you're kind of looking at getting ready to go out west? How does that work?
Yes, sir. We definitely are looking one game at a time. So we're definitely focused on Fullerton for sure at first, but we definitely know that Najee is coming. So we're just preparing for her as well.
And playing in the SEC tournament, what was that experience like for you? Obviously, a rough go for the squad, but what was that experience like playing in the SEC tournament?
It was definitely a dream come true because coming from Conference USA, you know, it's not that big of a stage as it is the SEC. So just like taking a moment to just kind of soak it in and look around and kind of like just be like, this is where I wanted to be when I was a kid. So it's kind of like just taking it in one step at a time and kind of like just seeing what the atmosphere was like.
I love like how excited you are to talk about your team. And I want to know what's been the most rewarding part about picking Mississippi State. You had a great career at Louisiana Tech. You went in the portal. You picked the Bulldogs. What's been the most rewarding part about coming to play for Coach Ricketts?
Definitely my teammates. They are something else. Like there's something to like play for. So it's like I love having Aspen's back and just knowing that like we're going to play for her, or even Josie when she's in the circle. And like just the atmosphere of playing for one another is definitely one of the main reasons I came here.
And last one for me, I want to know, what's your favorite place to eat in Starkville? What's
favorite place to eat?
Yeah. Where
I
should we
like
go?
Little
I've got to
Dewey's,
make a trip
personally.
over there. Go ahead.
Wait, say again?
Little Dewey's. It's kind of like, it's Cajun. Yeah.
It's a great choice.
Yes, it is.
What do you order?
I do the po' boy. Definitely Southern.
Yeah, you know what's up. That's good stuff. Sierra Sacco joining us here in Good Morning Softball. Sierra, safe travels out to Palo Alto. Best of luck this weekend, and congratulations on a great year making the NCAA tournament. We're pulling for y'all, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Oh,
you're the best.
Got the
Thanks,
thumbs up. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Sierra. All right. Wow, just awesome. Oof. We got one more guest.
Yes.
We're bringing in the queen. Here she is. We're bringing in what else? I've interviewed Michelle Smith many times, and I could pick a million accolades to read, two-time gold medalist, All-American. It's like hotel mogul. I mean, we can talk about a million things.
Vineyard,
wine connoisseur.
Yes.
Michelle Smith is here. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you.
Hello. Sorry, I think I could be announced as hairball frazzled. Just got off an airplane, sleep deprived. I mean, you name it. It's maybe one of those days.
Well, we got to ask. So I saw you sprinting out of the booth in Auburn to go catch a flight to get up to Bristol. So what have these last 48 hours been like to get up there? I know you got to go through hair and makeup and wardrobe, and then you got to get the bracket and prep. What is that process like?
I think people don't realize like how challenging a time period that is for us. And then you have to put on top of it all the rain delays and everything that happened at the SEC tournament. So we had all that. We had to jam on all the games. We got the games in. We fit in our window. The game was over. And like you said, we were like, wham, up to Atlanta airport and then up to Bristol. So we actually flew up the next morning. Some people though went up that night. We're trying to catch a 9:50 flight. And, there's some of us that are like, oh, I don't want to be stressing about that because if the game goes long or whatever. So we were able to be booked on 2 different flights, depending on when you wanted to go. The vast majority of us went up on Sunday morning. So it's an early wake up call. It's an early flight. You land in Hartford. You have to get your rental car. You drive not quite an hour, say 40 minutes or so down to the head studios. You know, you run into your hotel room that they book for you so you can take a shower, and then you go over to the studios. And we don't really get the bracket. We were anticipating getting the bracket at 3:00. And now a lot of people think we have a lot to do with it. We have nothing to do with it. It's all the NCAA committee. We get the bracket, and we're seeing it for the first time, literally just hours before we have to do all of that prep work. I mean, it is mind blowing. It is literally, Amanda Scarborough and I are constantly like, we use the head blowing off emoji because that's literally how we feel all the time. Hair, makeup, like you mentioned, try to jam some food in. Woo, keep your energy up. Try to rehearse like for 15 minutes before we go live, and then bam, we're on air. But there are so many people behind the scenes that are helping make this happen. Calls with the committee. It is a very challenging 24 hours. And then of course we're always up early to fly home because we need to get back home so we can figure out, do our laundry and repack and head back out again.
And Michelle, you mentioned the committee. Let's say you get your bracket. What was your first question that once you take a look at the entire bracket, what was your first question that you were thinking in your head that you wanted to ask the committee when you're taking a look at those top 16 seeds?
Yeah, great question. So immediately what stands out are who's in the top 8, and then who's 9 through 16, and then maybe who did not get a seed that was maybe expecting a seed, as well as who is not in the bracket at all. So the very first thing that jumped out to us was Duke, of course. And a lot of that was because they're, people confuse polls versus, all the other metrics that go into stuff and what the committee looks at. And Duke has been very high in the poll. They were also high in RPI and KPI. And I actually asked the committee chair, like, a lot of people Duke fans are going to be disappointed on this. And they basically just said quad 1 wins out of conference. I think they had 1. And so they had very set, like they want to see these coaches challenging their teams outside of conference and on the road. So I think that, for example, like Alabama was rewarded for going to Florida State. Florida State, I think as well, was rewarded for having Alabama and Texas come in. So I think the teams that scheduled very challenging out of conference schedules midweeks were not afraid to go on the road, play in hostile environments. That bode very well for the committee. The other thing that jumped off the page to me also, and a lot of people may have dinged Alabama because they maybe struggled a little bit down the road. But if you look at their wins are amazing. Their worst loss is to South Alabama, which I think is maybe a 32 RPI, which is impressive. So, it's just interesting the way people view teams, and they get in their mind like, well, maybe if Alabama hasn't scored a lot of runs, they view them this way because here's all these other teams that are scoring lots of runs. It doesn't matter how many runs you score as long as it's one more than your opponent, right? I mean, at the end of the day. So that's really what it comes down to. And then, of course, for me, there was also the questions of who's being sent where. I thought that a lot of people also questioned Oklahoma State. But then if you look at who Oklahoma State has coming in with Kentucky and Michigan, wow, for a 5 seed, that's a really challenging regional. So it's all that sort of stuff that jumps off the page. I wish we had more time to really look at it and dive in, but we don't. I mean, it's literally a crazy, 3 or 4 hours before we actually go on air. So we usually get the really big stuff and try to hammer that.
I would argue, Michelle, that 2 of the 3 toughest 3 seeds are going to Oklahoma schools. Boston U going to Norman and Michigan going to Oklahoma State. Look, I know that those 2, the Cowgirls and the Sooners, they've looked really good. They're top 8 good, as we said earlier in the show, and Oklahoma might win the national championship again. But those are really hard 3s to have to host at home. Those are not easy matchups for those teams.
No, not at all. And I think this is the year of the mid-major. I mean, there are a lot of quality teams out there. that can hit the ball. They might have one good arm. I think where maybe the mid-majors get in trouble is if they get into a loser's bracket. I mean, they have to continue to win. I think a South Alabama's the same way with Olivia Lackey and Boston, Charlotte, Miami, of course, of Ohio. So I think these are teams that can absolutely do damage. If you let them push the door open, you're going to be in big trouble. I think where the more the Power Fives, or let's even just say your top 16 seeded teams, have the advantage is that most of them have staffs, so they have the ability to have a number 1 and a number 2, some a 3 and a 4. So I think that's going to play into it. But you guys, you know how it is. It's this time of year, and that's why I say it every year, all year long. It is about execution, right? And we have seen some teams that were dinged by 1 or 2 bad losses, either maybe didn't make the tournament at all or didn't get the seeding that they wanted. This game is about execution, and when you've got to have productive outs. I even chart now NPOs, non-productive outs, all these things that I know as an athlete that were super relevant to me and my success on the field. Well, it's the same thing when you start looking at these collegiate teams, that they've got to be productive with their outs.
And Michelle, you were obviously at the SEC tournament last weekend. I want to talk a little bit about LSU and what you've seen from that squad at the 9 seed, which I think a lot of us were a little bit surprised to see them drop to the 9 seed. And you've been able to watch them and were able to call to see their games. What is your thoughts on LSU?
I think they're strong in the circle. Sydney Berzon, one of the best in the country. Kelly Lynch. I mean, they're great mixes with each other because Kelly's really hard arm side up, and Berzon can throw it anywhere, but she hammers the lower half of the zone and mixes speeds. And Raylan Chapin, they have her. And they've got arms. Let's just put it that way. They have a defense, right? They've got a great middle with Carly Petty and Taylor Pleasance. Little bit of all year long, it's been a little bit of an experiment over there at third base. So they've got probably one of the best outfields in the country. So they've got a very strong defense and they've got strong arms. I think the key for them is they need to apply offensive pressure. They need to figure something out and start scoring runs earlier, be more aggressive earlier. Now, granted, they do not strike out a lot, but I think that's a team that's going to have to say, hey, we're going to have to be creative offensively to put some runs up on the board. As far as their seeding in the 9 spot, I think it is disappointing. They were the last undefeated team in D1 softball, but I think the committee was very pointed on trending up or trending down, and I think the last, I forget what their I think their record was 15-14 over their last, 2 months of softball, whereas Florida was trending up, right? And Florida really got rewarded because for a lot of people, Florida was maybe a host in the top 16, maybe, and then they jumped all the way into, the slot that they did into hosting potentially a super regional if they get through regional. So I think that this committee was very cognizant of right here, right now. And yes, they did look at what you've done earlier, but I think what you've been doing lately was a big point of contention for this committee.
I've got one more specific regional that I want to ask you about. I told Alabama pitching coach Lance McMahon last night, if Liberty popped up in the 2 spot for the LA regional, I was going to fall out of my chair. I could not believe that UCLA got 4 seed Grand Canyon again, 3 seed San Diego State again, and a better 2 seed than they had last year with Virginia Tech coming this season. The Bruins, this is the hardest regional, is it not?
One of, I think that there's 3 or 4 that you could circle and be like, woohoo, it's up for grabs. But yeah, and that's the unfortunate part of, where we are with our sport with the 500 miles you can bust. I mean, there's some schools that are kind of pigeonholed into where they're going to go every year. Grand Canyon, if the Arizona team is not hosting, they're probably going to UCLA. Same thing with San Diego State, Fresno State. I mean, there's those programs, Cal State Fullerton. You can pretty much pick. There's 1 or 2 sites that they're going to. Now, Virginia Tech coming all the way across the country. Emma Lemley, I think, is one of those kids that if she gets hot, she's an explosive rise ball. It will be interesting seeing what she does. And then you look at UCLA. I have to say, I'm impressed with the way they've turned things around because opening weekend was difficult, right? 2-5, one of their worst starts ever. They had Taylor Tinsley, who did not get a lot of opportunities last year because she was behind Megan Faremo. I think she the number of innings that she had coming back from last year was not a lot, which I didn't think was right. I thought she deserved more innings. I thought she was good enough to have more innings. I think the coaching staff just felt the pressure to have to win, because when you have a Megan Faremo, all of that sort of stuff kind of led to Taylor not getting the innings she probably needed last year. And then KT has come in as a great freshman. I mean, I'm so proud of the way, I think, what is she, 18-1? I mean, so she struggled early and got beat up, which is probably, I think her ERA is like a 3.36. And the reason it's probably still elevated is from the first weekend of the season. If you take out some of the bad games early, I mean, she has just been outstanding. So I think that is a very good pitching staff. It's a team that has really risen through the ranks over the year. And I think that's going to be very tough regional, but I like the way UCLA has been playing as of late.
I agree with you, Michelle. And we know that you've had quite the schedule, so we're going to let you go get some much needed rest. Oh, Gray's not going to let you go get rest.
I got to ask where you're going. Where are you going to be this weekend?
I'm going to Stilly. So they're sending us to Stillwater. So, I mean, when Kentucky and Michigan, when big names like that show up, and to one of the top 8 seeds, that's usually where we're going. And that's where they're rolling a truck out to Stillwater, Oklahoma. So we'll be at Oklahoma State, and excited to see that. It's going to be a very challenging and good regional for everybody.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
am I allowed to
get
I can get a go poke in there though too, right?
Yeah, you can.
I get a little bit of a homer.
I've also got to flash this. Russ Crock, Michelle Smith is the softball queen of hair. So don't ever be concerned. You are the softball queen of hair, no matter whether you just got off a flight or not. Don't worry about it, Michelle.
Well, I feel like the queen of hairball today. So there you go.
You're the best, Michelle. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. Get some rest, and we can't wait to hear you on the call this weekend.
Nice to see y'all. Thanks, Ray. Thanks.
See you soon, my friend. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Michelle Smith, the great one. We did it.
What a show. Woo.
We actually still have a little bit of bracket to talk about. Just a little bit. We'll fly through it.
Breakfast.
I know. I have things I need to do as well. We'll just fly through the bottom half of the right side. 7 seed Missouri gets Washington, Indiana, and Omaha. Well, I guess we can't really fly through this because this is another flashing danger. If Washington decides to turn it on, Tara, I love this draw for the Huskies.
Yeah, but also I just got in my mentions James Lair, Jenna Lair's dad. The celebration for Mizzou. Have you seen it, Gray?
No, not yet.
Their watch party. It is incredible. I'm just gonna retweet it right now. Mizzou's celebration, because what a scene in Columbia. I'm loving that. So thanks, James, appreciate it. But yes, I agree with you, Gray. When you take a look at Mizzou, Omaha, Indiana, and Washington, not easy. But
Omaha is a really good 4 seed.
Yeah. Yes. But I do like about this regional is been able to talk to Larissa Anderson, was in some press conferences in the SEC tournament. And what I love about this Mizzou team is that there's not a true team group effort, and they're gritty. They know how to win. If you would have said that Mizzou was going to be in the SEC tournament final at the beginning of the season, people would have probably told you were a bit crazy, right, Gray? I think you're seeing a Mizzou team that just knows how to get it done. So again, at the number 7 seed, and we had Mizzou ranked pretty high all year long in our poll, Gray. And I think that's because you and I both saw the potential in this squad.
Let's keep going. 10 seed Duke with 2 seed South Carolina, 3 seed Utah. Utah is hot. And 4 seed Morgan State. I think Duke got a tough seed, and I think they got a pretty tough regional, because don't forget, Elena Vaughter and Stanford went to Duke last year and won that super regional. So our friend Kelly Torres, we love you. Get ready, because you're going to be in for a war this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And that offense, obviously, as well, Gray. We saw a South Carolina offense that got it done in the SEC tournament. So another tough draw in Utah, leading the Bruins, almost getting back-to-back titles, Pac-12 tournament titles. They wanted to be the only team to win a Pac-12 tournament title. Obviously, Jordan Woolery and Charlize Palacios from UCLA had other thoughts about that. But again, I agree with you. Another tough regional, and Duke at that number 10 seed. We heard Michelle speak about why the Blue Devils were at that 10 seed. And you and I spoke about this just a couple nights ago as to, we weren't surprised. I wasn't surprised that Duke fell to 10. But again, I think when you take a look at Utah, South Carolina, and Morgan State, Duke's got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, I mean, one last thing. It's just a really tough beat for a team that won the regular season, which I know the committee doesn't care about, but also won the tournament.
Yep.
It's just tough. It's a tough message to send. But, hey, you want to prove the committee wrong and get to OKC. That's what I always say. If you think you were misseeded, then don't worry about it. Prove that you should have been seeded higher by winning. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but you got to win.
You still got to win bowl games to make it to Oklahoma City, and that's always the thing. Whether you like your draw or not, the fact that you're number one playing, the fact that you're seeded, and you get to play at home is a huge advantage. So, do we have any more, Gray?
2 more.
Oh,
Tallahassee, Florida State gets Auburn, UCF, and Chattanooga. It's just gonna be a ton of fun. And finally, the 2 seed Oklahoma with Oregon, Boston U, and Cleveland State. Yes, that is an Oklahoma State, Florida State potential supers matchup, but maybe it doesn't get to there. I don't know. Auburn, Maddie Penta with Shelby Lowe at least looking pretty good recently. Auburn, I think, is more dangerous this postseason than they were last postseason.
I agree. And UCF, Gray, obviously turning it on in the Big 12. First time in the Big 12 and really finishing in the middle of a pack, which if you think middle of the pack for the Big 12, which we think is what we know is up a huge this year. We almost had Sydney Ball Malone on the show, but she had to run to practice. Again, Florida State at that 15 seed, we would have said in the beginning they would be hosting a regional. Again, we would say, oh my gosh, you're crazy. But for the Seminoles to turn it around and begin to host, and again, going on the road, playing tough competition. Lonnie Alameda does it year in and year out, and the committee sees that. And so, Auburn, UCF, and Chattanooga, another tough one in that 15 seed. I don't know if Florida State's going to get out of that regional, but we'll see.
Well, McKenna Reed's status will be very important, and that'll be something that we watch. And as for Norman, I kind of feel bad for our friends, the Terriers, who will be barking all the way to Norman, Oklahoma after going 52-4-1. They go to Norman. It's not the greatest.
50 wins. Oh my goodness. Like that's what a season. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, and Coach Waters, she was on the show earlier. I'd be kind of mad too. Like
she was very frank about it.
You're going to really send me to Norman again? Are you going to send us to Norman again? So, gosh, how fun. What a great night last night. And can't wait for this weekend.
All right. We're about to hit 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we're not going to do picks. I'm just going to say thank you to our guests. Ashley Waters, Ali Skaggs, Jordan Woolery, Sydney Berzon, Clarissa Crowell, Tim Walton, Kendra Falby, Joe Harden, Sierra Sacco, Michelle Smith. Just chef's kiss. Crushed it. Great job, guys. Thank you for coming on. And thank you to the SIDs for making it happen as well.
Yeah, and thank you all for tuning in, for joining us. I know it's been a lot. I think we've got a softball hangover for some of you all, but let's just keep it rolling. We've got loads of coverage on the site, roundtable on the site for Softball America. Some new and exciting updates, which we were going to announce today, but we're waiting for it. So stay tuned. We've got a cool partnership coming up. And gosh, great. Appreciate you. Thank you. That was always as fun as always. Can't wait to do it again for regionals.
Man, hey, let's get it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the chat. Thank you, Tara. I know that these last 2 days have been real stressful with all the travel, and thank you for doing this show and for making it happen. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you to all our SIDs who helped out. And God bless softball. God bless the NCAA tournament. Let's go. Let's do it. Shall we? Shall we just wrap up and go get ready
Let's
for the
wrap it up.
weekend? Okay.
Yep. I'll be in Los Angeles. Great. Obviously, you're going to be in Tuscaloosa. I'm going to be at the LA Regional. So come find me. Say hello. Can't wait. I think it's going to be a tough one out here out west. But again, you'll be able to see both of us and coverage across the country. We'll put it up on Softball America and where we're all going to be and make sure that you say hello to each and every one of us because we appreciate you. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for you, the fans. And can't thank you all enough for joining us this morning.
Amen. For my partner, Tara Henry, I'm Gray Robertson. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Softball America. We'll catch you next time.